So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Women's Health Podcast, where we discuss all things that really matter to women in all areas, be it health, mental health, fertility, pregnancy, menopause, perimenopause, so whatever comes up. And my little dog has just come up in the room, so she might be chatting as well at the same time. And today I'm joined by Fiona Brennan, who is a success coach, and she's going to tell us all about what she does. Now, I have a pen and piece of paper with me, so if there's any questions that I think of, if don't think I'm being rude if I'm writing them down. So welcome, Fiona. Welcome to this podcast.
Oh, thank you, Lucy.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Amelia, for having me on. I'm delighted to be here to share whatever little nuggets I have with yourself and your audience. So thank you. So yeah, as you said, I'm a success coach, a personal success coach and mentor, and my business is Inspire Action Success. I'm also a project manager. I have a project management business as well for construction. So that's just a little bit more juiciness in there. Yeah, I set up 5 years ago was my first entry into the, I suppose, entrepreneurial world. Before that, I had been working as an employee, mostly in corporate spaces. So my last one was about 16 years. I left that in December 2016, and then I set out in January 2017 as a freelance project manager. And so that kind of got me the entrepreneurial piece going, self-employed. So just leaving behind all that security of the pension, the wages going in every month, the bonuses, and just going completely wild, dropping everything. Once you get over that initial shock that you no longer have a supported sick day, you just get on with it, because it was something that I had wanted to do for quite a few years. I had wanted to go out by myself, but was just waiting for that opportunity, waiting for that moment that was just going to be right to allow me to do that. And yeah, so that was kind of the starting point, I suppose.
It's a huge step when you make that decision to burn the boats, so you've no way, well, you have a way back, but when you make that massive decision to go out on your own, as you said, no pension, no healthcare, no guaranteed wage at the end of the month, it's all on your own back.
Yeah, it is. It's a big step. And I suppose, look, I am blessed, my partner has a good job, my husband, he's a good job, and he's kind of, we weighed up, I suppose, money coming into the house, and we realized, okay, what is manageable, what is not, what can we do without? And it is a matter of really looking at what you can do without, because we think we need so much, but when you pare it all back, what's absolutely essential to allow you to kind of live a nice life, but without all these extras that when you feel you need to have so much extras, it often keeps you stuck because of that fear of letting go of that security of money that you think, well, I need it just in case, but when you just let go, you realize, actually, you know what, you've already got oodles, you've already got so much in the small little bits that you do have, and everything becomes a lot more precious and golden as a result. So
it's a powerful thing to let go like that. It takes a lot of courage as well. I often see clients that come in and there's no way they could get to that point where they let go. It would be hard for them to even contemplate it.
Yeah. And the biggest challenge I found for myself personally wasn't even the reduction, say, on maybe not doing so many things that we might have done before. But it was the independence piece, because for me, having gone from school into college straight into having my own, decent job, I had always had a decent wage. I always was able to save, and I always had my own fund, so that if whatever I wanted to do, I could just go spend. Whatever I wanted to spend on the kids, I could just go spend. Going from that into a sort of dependency side of things. So it wasn't actually the pension and the sick pay and all that stuff that got me. It was actually becoming slightly dependent on somebody else financially, and losing that sort of independence for me was one of the biggest challenges that just kept coming up for me over the few months, and even as I started to make money, that kind of, edged away from that. But then, especially when COVID hit and everything went complete standstill again, that all came back up again. And that really requires a lot of work personally on my own value and creating a new story for myself, because I had lots of stories about, why it wasn't good for me to be dependent and what it meant for me as a person. And, suddenly I nearly had to ask, could I have some money to spend? Was that okay? And it was like, God, that to me was quite a big challenge.
I'd say I can feel that almost myself. I think, yeah, because when you've been so independent and then suddenly, with your own money, as you said, like spend it on what you like, and suddenly you have to, partner up and be, it's very difficult. I can feel that with
it, like to justify it's like you can't just go in and buy that top, even though it was very open and my husband's very open like that. But all of a sudden you question everything. Oh, I shouldn't be getting that. I shouldn't be treating myself to this. And I suppose what led me into coaching, just skipping slightly ahead, was the fact that when I became my own boss and I didn't have the backup and security of, the bigger company behind me, it really questioned my self-worth, and my confidence went quite down. Even though I knew how to do what I was offering, the service of doing, being able to stand there and declare it and charge for it. There was a lot of free stuff in the beginning. And mix that then with possibly, the codependency of having somebody else to help you financially. That really was a big overall combined hit to confidence and questioning who you are and what your role is in the world. And between all of that, I ended up in coaching, I suppose, discovering coaching for myself personally first, to sort myself out, help myself, and then loving it so much that I thought, okay, I could actually help people in this way, who mostly entrepreneurs is who I work with, because of what I went through myself, because I felt all of that. And you can very much get stuck, and you can very easily go back onto the employee role, because it feels so hard at times. It feels like, what am I doing this for? There's no money coming in, and yet I'm doing all these hours, and yet, who am I? So there's a lot of work to be done on yourself. And I really do feel that entrepreneurship or business ownership, or whatever you want to call it, becomes a personal development journey for that reason.
It's a very interesting way of actually looking at it, because I would agree with you. It's something would have happened to me during lockdown. Suddenly my bricks and mortar practice was closed, and you're like, wow, there's no money coming in now. Now I know we got the COVID payment and stuff, but still, it was tough actually. To suddenly be told you can't be open. And also for me, it was about, my clients. I had clients who were vulnerable, who were doing IVF, who were just newly pregnant, or, in a place with menopause, and they still needed my support. Now I could do phone consultations, but for me, it wasn't, I do acupuncture, so I couldn't get my hands on them. So it made it very difficult. And plus people were very scared at that point. So yeah. I think, the journey that we go on is interesting.
Yeah.
But I also think for you, like your husband, a Superman, that he supported you and said, yeah, go for it. I think that helps a lot too, doesn't it? That you have someone to bounce off of, and that that they're still there to support you and help you through this journey.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I'm not sure how far I would have taken it without it, but that's an assumption too, and we only know what we know with the piece that we have. And the way I've always kind of seen things is, do something when it feels right, when it feels good, when you can get it to work. So while this is working, while we're managing, while it's kind of, going okay, even with all its challenges, just keep going until if something happens to make it not work anymore, to make you kind of think, okay, I've got to do something different. So if God forbid something happened in the future, and if I wasn't bringing in enough income, I might have to change things around. But that's out there. That's not now. That's an if, but maybe, which we don't need to go to. Right now, it's working. Everything is working. So you keep with it, and, not to be predicting and jumping, because you've only got now to deal with, and you just don't know what the next moment brings. That could absolutely bring amazing opportunities, instead of like, but what if this thing happens instead? And you go down a rabbit hole of, and that can prevent a lot of people from taking that leap, because the fear of the thing that could go wrong, as opposed to, what if the opposite happened? What if this like exploded so much that I have actually said to him, listen, just hang on there, because I'm going to be knocking it out of the water here very soon, and you can actually take the sidestep and become dependent on me, because nobody knows.
That's exactly it, isn't it? No one knows. Why do you think that people become so fearful of taking that? Because even it feels like it's such a massive jump to, start working for yourself and being responsible for yourself.
Oh, yeah. There's lots of reasons, I think, but a couple of them boil down to the falseness of security. There is a false illusion. The illusion, actually, whether it be false or not, the illusion of security when you're employed, because there's that constant, well, I have my wage coming in, and I have maybe my pension if you're in that sort of a job, and I'm covered. And there's a fear to leave that, because what if, and the mind will always give you the what if negative, always feed you the story of negative, and we automatically cling to that because it's all we know. But so there's that security that you just, and I say security because you don't want to let that go, is the first piece. And I think the other strong piece that's very strong is that people are afraid of being judged.
Oh, yes. Yes, I agree on that one.
Because becoming your own boss means you have to declare it to somebody. Even, it doesn't matter where it is, you've got to actually announce it somewhere. Even if you don't go splat onto social media, you have to put it somewhere, even if it's a poster on a shop window, or else how are they going to know that you exist? And maybe it's a shop that you're opening, so you're going to have to put the banner on the wall. So you're going to have to declare, hey, I've just created this business, I'm owning it, I'm selling this product or service, and people are afraid of that judgment of what will others think. Who does she think she is, or what did she get that she's able to do that? What they might be commented on, like maybe the husband is earning whatever, or she must have got a handout, or all these things that we feed ourselves that we think that other people are thinking about us. So there's so much fear on, like, I better not do it just in case, because what if it fails? What if I have to close up in 6 months' time, or 3 years' time, or whatever time? And then there's the other side of, what if I'm majorly successful and people start judging me because I'm so successful? So the mind plays all those sort of tricks with us and just feeds us all of that. And I think they are, to me personally, I feel from my work with clients, they're the two big things. The illusion of security and staying where you are, staying in what you know, your comfort zone, and the judgment, the fear of judgment of everyone else.
Yep, I will 100% agree with you on all of those things, that all of those have happened to me and still do happen. You still swing between the two of them, even though, and I'm sure you absolutely 100% feel the same, that you're good at what you do, fabulous at helping people, and I know I'm good at what I do, but you do get that, oh, what happens if, all that what if.
Yeah.
But it takes up so much time and energy, doesn't it, that what if question?
It is, if we allow it. And that's, I suppose, one of the juicy things of when you work with a coach, you help to realize that you have all these other choices instead, and that just because that's the way we've always thought in our minds doesn't mean that we have to continue to think that same way.
That's
that
very
we
true.
Decide to do something different instead. We could go the what if positive, which is brilliant, because and that in itself can bring its own fear, because it's like, oh my God, what if it does work out? Oh jeepers, well, what then? And there can be a fear to that, because there's suddenly like, oh, I don't really want it to be that big. I don't want that to happen either. So, and what's happening then is you're sending out signals to, I suppose, to the energy around us, to the universe, that, well, are you either going for it or are you not? Are you worried about it? Are you excited about it? You know, where are you in the space? And until you kind of get like a better handle on it, it can keep you stuck. That's why some people just feel like they're stuck. They're stuck because they're like, I can go forward, but I'm not sure. I'm going to go back a little bit, and you know, and all you're doing is spinning, and you're not going forward, and you bury yourself in the doing of so much to do, of so many to-do lists, of so much every day it's just so busy, but you're actually just, all you're doing is I suppose disillusioning yourself to really being brave to take a better step forward.
And how would you advise women, or, you know, in this position, how would you advise them to take that step forward?
Well, one of the foundations is I believe anyway, is really getting clear yourself first on what it is you want and why you want it. So you might think, you know what, I'll go set up a business. Yeah. But actually just to step back from that again, what is it, the business, and why do you want to do that? Are we doing it because it's trendy to do it now, to be the female business owner? Or is it something you're very passionate about? Or, you know, what is the reason behind it? And really sussing out that really important why you're doing what it is you're doing, getting clarity on that, getting clarity on the what, and getting clarity on the why is fully foundational first. Because once you have that, then you can make a decision deciding, will I go for this? Is this actually going to be my vision, my dream, my goal, whatever word you want to put in it? And am I going to allow everybody else to have an input, or am I going to actually feel this what and why myself, fully myself, and own it and make a decision to go for it? And once you get clear, the decision becomes nearly automatically next. When you get that clarity, the decision is very quick, because you either want it or you don't want it. And you can sit on the fence all day long. I kind of want it, yeah, but I'm not so sure. But all that does is just drain you of energy, and it gives the mind all the time it can to come in and feed you with all the reasons, all the procrastinations. So when you're not clear, you will sit on the fence. But when you get clear, it enables you to go forward. And when you decide, that brings you the energy, that brings you the focus, and you can start to see, okay, I know now what the first step is I need to do. That will automatically come. And I know maybe I need support with this via a friend or a coach or mentor or whatever, or I need to get some training. You will know what it is once the decision is made, and the decision comes off the back of being clear on the what and why.
I think that is like tremendous advice, because I think as well in business, and I've been in my own business for the last 20 odd years, everyone has to start somewhere. You know, you all have to start with your first coaching client or your first patient or your first project. You know, everyone, I think that you look too far ahead, you run too far ahead and look what other people are doing, but they may have been started maybe a day before you, so they're like a day ahead, or a year before you. And it also depends on you know, their finance, if they got more money to put into advertising and all of those aspects. So I think you have to not compare. Something I've had to learn, actually, so this is really speaking from myself, not compare yourself to another expert in women's health, and be, you know, because I bring my own uniqueness to it, but the other person say, like, you bring your own uniqueness to what you do, and that's what people love. You know, that's what you love. That's my, you know, way I look at it now, because otherwise I would, be fear of other people. Even though I know I have my knowledge, I know it inside out, you do get scared of.
Absolutely. And we doubt ourselves. And, you know, that's all part, I suppose, that is why I really feel that, you know, when you become a self-employed person, entrepreneur, it is a personal development journey. Because all of this that we're talking about is actually development of yourself, of your inner self, that you would never get to touch if you just remain unemployed. Or it certainly would be, it doesn't come up as intensely as when you become self-employed. because you've got to face those fears. You've got to face that lack of value and that lack of confidence, else your business is just going to flop. You really want to make it work, you have to work on yourself, and your business is only going to be as good as you are. Your business is only going to be as successful as you are yourself personally on the inside out. And that's one of the things, I suppose, that my success coaching is based on working from the inside out. So a lot of people might come to me initially and they're like, because they've got the project management piece, I do offer a lot of planning and action taking and accountability, because that's, I suppose, that is the strategy piece. But the huge chunk is mindset, is helping you develop yourself from the inside out first, because you can have all the action steps in the world. You can have a beautiful laid out plan, but if you can't put that into action, if you are holding yourself back mentally because of that, it's not worth a hat of crabs, as they say. It's just worthless. It doesn't matter how many thousands you might have paid to get a 10-step plan done for you. If you can't actually carry it out because you are blocked with lack of confidence, with lack of worth, with fear of judgment, with fear of success, as well as fear of failure, you won't take the action.
It's very true. It is true. And it's something, I've worked with a business coach to work on this element of it, and it has helped me immensely. Hugely. And I think I don't know, like, I'm from the UK, and I know that it's more an American thing that you work with a coach, but I think it's something that we need to look more and more into here, that you do work with a coach who will help you, and they'll develop you to a certain point, and they might continue working with them for years. But I think you maybe outgrow a coach and you may need a new one. We may stick with the same one, but I think it's a huge benefit to a business.
I absolutely do. And had you said it to me the first year, I'd have been like, no, I'll just keep figuring it out in my head. But that can be a fierce challenge, because we can't figure everything out in our heads, and we need to learn that we need to come away from our heads and into our body. And there's a whole thing around that I just never even knew existed. And I can't believe I got to the age I did. There's this whole other way of living that's so much easier and nicer when we get out of our own ways and get out of our own heads. Like, why did I remember being in the coaching school the first weekend, and I remember sitting back in my chair like, did I just like not turn up the day they were teaching us this in school? Why don't I know some of this stuff? It's very basic. It's very simple. There's nothing complicated about personal development. But the challenge is actually bringing it into your everyday life. The challenge is working against a system of our mind that's so archaic, that has us functioning so automatically, that we just, unless you do the work, because it is work, of implementing it, you'll automatically just go back to autopilot. And that is, so it's simple stuff, but the challenge is implementing it every day, in simple ways, because it's like we're just being forced to just get back down and just, weren't you grand the way you were? What do you want to be changing for? Weren't you fine? Like, and I might have many times I've had this conversation with myself, and I've watched some other people, and I'm kind of thinking, but sure, they're grand. Why can't I just be like her? Like, and she's not doing any of this. And why am I putting myself through this? Why can't I just go off and get a nice little job and have the money coming in? What am I doing this for? And then I remember why I'm doing it. And I remember what my vision was initially. And I'm thinking, no, get one chance at this life. This is something I feel strongly about. And so I'm going to so I shake that off and I get back on the horse again and say, okay, let's try it again. And you just keep trying it again, just keep recommitting. And as you hit those walls. But just one point you said there, just come back to, when you're looking at other people and look at them, they're ahead of you, and they might only be ahead of you a day, or they could be ahead of you 5 years. And you might think, okay, well, there's lots of people in the holistic, wellness industry right now, helping women, helping with menopause, coaches, they're everywhere. But so also are hairdressers, so also are beauticians. Like, take a small town that have maybe 300 people, and you're going to have, at least one of each.
At least.
Supermarkets.
Yeah.
Your Tesco's, your Aldi's, your Lidl's, normally all congregate pretty much within a few hundred meters of each other. And then again in the next town, there's always going to be an abundance of all of these, but there's millions and millions of people.
It's true.
You know what I mean? You all need the stuff. And I can only give so many hours. You can only give so many hours. So, you know, imagine if all the other people fell away and it was just me and you serving, you know, even a county. Well, you couldn't manage it like.
No,
so
you
couldn't
couldn't
serve the people.
Not properly, not giving your...
And everybody is unique. So you are unique yourself, and you're going to find your own energetic tribe. And people are going to be connected to you. Someone's going to be connected to me. Somebody else going to, you know, so there's each to their own. And it's like, you know, if you just mentioned the hairdresser, I like, you know, one hairdresser, the way she does the hair. Somebody else likes the other one. And I'll be like, oh, I don't like that one. I like this one. I was like,
it's true. It's very true. That's exactly it.
Cutting the same. I'm doing the same thing. So cutting, colouring, blow drying. But yeah.
You're right. It's the energy from the person that you go for.
Yeah. You
have to be comfortable with your coach. You do.
Yeah.
No, it is really, really important. And you're all right. It's so easy to slip and get into bad habits rather than keep working on your good ones. I don't know why we do that. I don't know why we slip off all the time, but it is about pulling yourself back over to the good habit side.
Yeah. And if you think about it, you change in bad habits that maybe you've had for decades. So say, like, from a health point of view, if you've always eaten food a certain way or exercised a certain way, and it's worked, but up to a point, maybe it stops working and you've got to change because you're a certain age group or just different, you're going through menopause or whatever. It can be hard to start new habits that will help where you are right now, because you've always done it the other way. So the resistance is, I just want to go back to what I knew, because it's all connected to the comfort zone. It's all connected to what you knew before, what you're familiar with. And anything that's different to what you did before is always challenging, because it's changed in some way, little way, even if it's the tiniest thing of, going from caffeinated to decaffeinated coffee, or adding extra water to your diet, or taking that extra, or whatever it might be. It's just new, and it's your body and mind just want to resist it and go back. So that's where you, I suppose, needs that little extra push on why am I making these changes? What's that going to do for me if I make these changes? And outweighing, I suppose, the reason you're making the changes are usually because something is not working where you currently are. You're, getting, either you're in pain physically or mentally, or it's just not right. And maybe you can't even describe it, but something needs to change. Then you've got the change itself over here on the right, and that has its own pain points because it's new and it's different and it's like against the grain kind of thing. But you have to decide, well, which pain do you want to go with? The pain of staying where you are and living with that, whatever that is, without making the changes, or the pain, which will just be short term, of doing the change, making the difference, because then that will eventually become your new comfort zone, your new familiarity. Once you stick with it, it doesn't stay new and against the grain for always. It's just until your whole system gets used to it, gets used to this new way of doing it. And then you'll wonder how you were ever back in that other place.
It's true, actually. It is true. But I think this also not just only applies to entrepreneurial women, but also women who are in the workplace who decide to, I'm just thinking, like, one of my clients is a nurse and she retrained so she didn't have to do like night shifts anymore. So she went back to college for 2 years and then got a job that she could work more 9 to 5. And it suited her. Yeah. So it was kind of that big leap of, would she go back to college and restudy? So it doesn't necessarily have to be within, setting up your own business. It can be within the work that you do, or even changing career and going back to college and rethinking, what you do. That can happen as well.
Absolutely. It can be even just, deciding to reduce your work hours, whether you be employed by somebody or self-employed, deciding that I don't want to work 5 days a week, 40 hours 5 days, 40 hours a week. I want to actually just do 25. So that in itself is a change, and it will be better for you. It'll bring you all the joy and fulfillment so that you can do other things. But that's a big leap, because again, you're saying goodbye to things that you knew, but you're weighing up the pros and cons, and which one weighs, heavier to you to stay with, like.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, it is true. So you can do it either way. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So what made you decide for you to make the big jump from being employed to self-employed? How did you make that big decision?
Oh, well, it kind of came as a trail of events that happened, actually. It was in my radar for probably 2 to 3 years previously. It was something I'd wanted to do, and I thought if I could get the situation, if I could get the opportunity, I would just stop what I'm doing as an employed person and do what I was doing as an employed person as a freelancer. I was living with a personal situation to do with our home. So there was a lot of financial constraints, and there was a lot of anxiety. And it came to what I call a kind of a tipping point at the end of 2015. And it had been 8 years of this sort of living with anxiety and financial, upset. And the point came where I actually made a decision that I didn't want to live in that scenario anymore. I didn't want to live being stuck in that particular situation, because we had closed ourselves off as being stuck, and there were no options, and we had to just be where we were. That was it. We had made choices, they had not gone in our favor, and this was our penalty for having not made some great decisions, and there seemed no way out. But I got to the point where as I described to you there actually a few minutes ago, the pain of living with what you have versus the pain of trying to make a change. And that was the tipping point. I just decided that I didn't want to live on this side of the pain anymore. I wanted to feel the pain of something else instead, because it had to be worth trying. So once I made that decision, and this is why I'm so passionate about it, because once you make a decision that you are no longer available to be stuck in whatever that situation it is, be it work, be it personal, that is where the gold is, because that decision gives you energy. You get the sense of freedom of, okay, great. So I've just hopped off the fence and now I'm on this side of the grass. Whoa, okay. So now what can I do? What can I do? What's the very first thing? And you just need the very first thing, whether it be a phone call, whether it be an email, whether it be whatever, Googling something, that sets off the train. Because once you've decided, the universe can respond. And when I look back on everything that happened for the 9 months after that, that's exactly what happened. Things came into my radar because I set on a mission. I set with a vision in mind of what the end result was going to look like. Now, not quite what it was going to look like, I just knew vaguely. And it didn't quite look like that at the end. But it was freedom. What the end point looked like for me at that time was freedom. Release from the anxiety, release the cord, cut the cable, cut the tie. That's what I wanted. That was the end point X number of months later. And not to get into any of the nitty-gritty of it, that's what happened. And at the end of that, I was still working. Just as I was about to, get everything back in line again, an opportunity came up. An opportunity came up to go contract in the company I was in, had been employed. And that opportunity, funnily enough, I had asked for about 2 years in a row previous, and for all the world nearly begged. But once I let go and said I didn't need that anymore, I could just decide and make my own path, make my own thing happen. Suddenly it was actually handed to me on a plate. Here's what, and I just remember the phone call so much. because it was just hilarious that like, I don't actually need that now. I figured it out. Okay. But I thought otherwise, and said, remember the vision I had of setting up my own business. And I thought, yeah, great. Everything else had changed. Every single thing had changed in those 9 months in my life, bar my family. And I thought, yeah, throw it in there, throw it into the mix. Let's just whiz it all up. Let's just go all in deep into the big pool and throw it in there. Let's cut the security blankets completely now. No more pension. And like the finances were gone, like completely off the charts at this stage. Yeah, sure, look, go for it. Why not? That's it. That is how it flowed. And I didn't realize how much that whole thing meant until I went to coaching school for my own personal development. When I thought back on that whole year of events that happened, I realized that I had done certain things that now I use actually as part of my coaching. So I use a lot of what I discovered in my own experiences without knowing it was equating some coaching stuff. Now I use that personally in my coaching to help people get out of being stuck, because there's always a solution. And the solution may not look like what you think you might want it to look like. And in fact, it can actually be so much better.
It can. I can feel the excitement in you when you said you hopped over there. I could see you were like in a very dark place. And then when you got over the other side of the fence, your whole demeanor changed. It was like, yeah, a very good decision for you. Amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Now it had its all pack of challenges. Oh my God. It's like, it's a starting point. It's not a smooth ride by any means, but the clarity of deciding helps you through those challenges. That is the thing. That is why I'm so passionate about getting that very first foundational piece right first. What is it that you want to make happen and why?
I think that's incredible advice, incredible advice. So if anyone wants to work with you as, in your success coaching business, how can they get hold of you?
Excellent. So my website, my business name is Inspire Action Success, which came from, I suppose I created because I wanted to inspire people to take action so that they could achieve their success. That's literally the history behind it. InspireActionSuccess.com. And there is like a little connect with me or, contact me form on that, and just send me a note. It's the easiest way, I suppose, to get in contact with me. I am on Facebook as well, under Fiona Brennan and Inspire Action Success, and I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. So if you throw Inspire Action Success in there, you'll find me.
I'm sure they definitely will. And I'll put in a tag at the bottom of this as well on Facebook. And then when I add it to the podcast, I'll add it in there for you. You've been an amazing, inspiring guest, and answered lots of fear questions that I would have gone through as well, and had to work on a lot and my own personal development to build my own business to the next level, and continue working on it to bring it up and up and up. So thank you so much. And thank you anyone.
Thank you for having me on. I'm delighted. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you, Lucy.
You've been brilliant. And I always forget to say this, please subscribe to anyone who's listened. That would be amazing. Yes. Okay, thank you so much.